Welcome back to another episode of Right Here in Mass. Joining me today is Jake Corley, who has been a massage and neuromuscular therapist since 2011. He's the owner of Optimal Wellness Center, and his own experiences as an avid ultra marathon runner and lifelong athlete ignited a passion for helping others overcome physical limitations and do more with their body. Initially focused on supporting fellow athletes in his community, Jake quickly became known for his ability to alleviate chronic pain, resolve muscular dysfunction, and accelerate recovery. Jake, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ashley.
It's my pleasure. Jake's very extensive and impressive bio can be found in our show notes. But Jake, I would love to give you the opportunity to start off and share with our listeners more about who you are and what you do.
I've been a massage therapist since 2012, and I started Optimal Wellness in 2018 while living out in Boulder, Colorado. And um, when I started Optimal Wellness, I was really just trying to figure out a better way to provide massage therapy to our community. And it really stemmed from a lot of frustration within the massage therapy industry. And a lot of the massage therapists in the area were really focused on spa massage and not a lot of pain management focused. There really wasn't this bridge between PT and personal training and massage therapy. And when we started Optimal Wellness, our goal was to kind of up level massage therapy and try to bridge the gap between PT, personal training, and massage therapy.
Which is very interesting. And I think it's such a great point that you bring up because I feel like, as a runner myself, that's one thing that I always struggled with is anytime I went for massage therapy, I'm like, this isn't really doing what I need it to do. So through your own athletic experiences and what you've done, I think you've very much solved a problem that was prevalent.
Yeah, and we usually see a lot of people who see massage therapy as primarily like a treat yourself day at the spa and
Mhm.
more of a relaxation focus. But in reality, there's a lot of research that is supporting that with the right applications, massage therapy can actually be really beneficial to preventing injuries, treating sports injuries. A lot of the advanced soft tissue techniques really can be massive push in the right direction when someone's dealing with chronic pain or sports
Mhm.
injury, and also preventing injuries as well.
Yeah, that's a great point too. And I know you mentioned that you started the practice in Boulder. Is that right?
I was living in Boulder, Colorado until about 2022. And when we were living out in Colorado, we were really primarily working on a lot of the professional athletes in the area, a lot of high level Ironman athletes, a lot of cyclists in the area. And there was kind of this frustration between the PT realm and the personal training realm where people would have to go to a PT to get corrective exercises, have to go to their personal trainer for their training program, and then see a massage therapist to get the soft tissue work, which really seemed to be frustrating a lot of the athletes because they kind of wanted a one-stop shop for all that. And that's where we came in.
Yeah. And so what was that process like of bringing optimal wellness to Massachusetts, like making that transition?
It was a lot of work. So there was actually a practice that was running here in West Stockbridge, and we were connected through a mutual friend. And the person who was running the massage therapy practice here in West Stockbridge was actually looking to sell his business.
Mhm.
So we connected, and it was at the perfect time. And we actually purchased his business from him here in West Stockbridge. And then we opened the Optimal Wellness doors here in August of 2022.
Mhm.
And we kept the Boulder practice running up until January of this year. So I was actually flying back and forth from Massachusetts to Colorado every 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh,
I was
wow.
seeing about 8 clients a day for about 7 days in a row out in Colorado. And then I would get back on the plane, fly back to Massachusetts, start the seeding process of getting clients here in West Stockbridge, do that for about another 6 weeks, and then fly back to Colorado.
Oh my gosh. So you had a lot on your plate then.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
but it definitely worked out because there was a lot of clients that I didn't want to let go out in
Mhm.
Boulder. And at the time, we had three other therapists out there in Boulder, and tried passing off a lot of the clients to them. And then the business kind of ran its course there, and I wasn't really interested in running the multi-state practice anymore. So we
Yeah.
decided to focus all of our energy and resources here in West Stockbridge.
Yeah, and I can imagine that a big amount of growth came once you, in these past few months, have been able to put your sole focus and attention on Massachusetts instead of kind of being split between two areas.
Yeah, it's definitely freed up a lot of time for us to work with a lot more local people.
Mhm.
We actually signed a contract with Tanglewood
Oh,
last
nice.
year. Yeah, so we get to work with some of the students that fly into the Tanglewood School of Music program. There's about 180 of them. And they fly in from all over the world. And we teach mobility classes there, and we offer massage therapy to the students. Because believe it or not, a lot of the training and touring symphony musicians suffer from a lot of injuries that are very similar to some of the professional athletes. We
Mhm.
kind of see these touring symphony musicians as professional athletes, even though they're not necessarily playing a sport.
Yeah, which does make sense now that you say that. I mean, with thinking like heavy instruments, I mean, probably bending over a lot. That makes sense now that you bring it up.
Yeah, and they're basically just doing repetitive motions
Yeah.
all day, every day. And it is something that is actually kind of plaguing the touring symphony musician world.
Mhm.
They're seeing a lot of long-standing symphony musicians come down with pinched nerves and chronic injuries where they're not actually able to continue playing.
Oh, wow. So being able to use your services to come in there, of course, has really great benefits and kind of helps to prevent and also resolve any issues or injuries that might be coming up.
Yeah, and last year actually was the first year in about 20 years that they hadn't sent one of the students home with an injury. So
That's amazing.
so we were invited back this year.
I was going to say that's a huge testament to you and your team's work, of course, of what you were doing to be able to resolve and prevent that stuff, which I think is really great. And
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear too, for anyone who hasn't heard of Optimal Wellness Center before, would you be able to give an overview of all the services that you provide and kind of how you can support both athletes and individual people?
Yeah, so we offer two different types of massage therapy here. We offer our recovery massage, which is your kind of standard deep tissue myofascial release session, generally geared towards someone without a major injury and someone who's coming in for some relaxation but looking for still a therapeutic session. Then we offer our pain management session, which is specifically focused on an injury or an ailment within the body. And we conduct a very thorough assessment on every one of our clients before we get them on the table. So we're looking at the joint range of motion, how much strength is in the joint. We're taking a look to see if there's any asymmetries from side to side in the joint. And a lot of times, being able to identify these asymmetries, you're able to kind of pinpoint where the issue is actually coming from. And
Mhm.
the assessment process is a huge part of what makes our treatment so successful, is because we can really identify some of the long-standing issues and figure out where they're actually coming from. So that way, during our 60 or 90-minute session, we're able to really, really focus in on that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also have a nutritionist on site. She does everything from reading blood labs to meal recommendations, and she is an incredible resource.
Yeah. So it's nice that you have kind of a few different areas that you specialize in and offer to people. So that way it's kind of like that whole approach, not just kind of focusing on one thing, but really being able to loop in a few different modalities, it sounds like.
Yeah, because we found that massage is really just one piece of the wellness tapestry. We
Mhm.
really see wellness as a tapestry where there is no just one size fits all model. So the
Mhm.
massage therapy kind of comes in with the physical aspect, the tissue, the muscle, and the tendons. We have our nutritionist that works from the inside out, kind of working with any inflammatory issues that people have, potentially food related, lifestyle related as well. And then we also offer our mobility training sessions, which are totally off the table and allow us to teach clients how to move their body and train their joints specifically to improve range of motion, improve tissue capacity. And that's really where the true injury prevention comes from, is our one-on-one mobility sessions.
Yeah, and that's cool. And that makes me wonder too. I feel like I've read some things online about how remote workers can end up actually facing issues with like injuries or joints or muscles or things like that just because they're sitting at a desk often. And so I'm curious to hear if that's something that you see in the clients that you work with is just anyone who might have that limited range that they're able to do with their work that kind of brings that stuff up.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot more injuries show up from people working from home, especially post-COVID. It
Mm.
seems like a lot of people were getting in a lot of daily movement through their jobs and being in cities and walking to the office and just more generalized movement. And now that that's been taken away from a lot of people, we are seeing almost underuse injuries show up in people. As opposed to the overuse injuries that we see in the athletes, we're actually seeing injuries show up from tissue not being used the way it was designed, sitting in one spot and not taking their body through their full range of motion as much as they used to when
Mhm.
they were working, whether they was in an office or out in the field. So we've definitely seen a lot more of that, especially post COVID.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I'd love to hear more about the benefits of working with a professional like yourself compared to someone potentially trying to DIY any injuries or things that they may be coming across.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So especially with the assessment that we do provide, we really can pinpoint where the issue is as opposed to going on YouTube or scrolling on Instagram and trying to figure out, okay, my low back is hurting, so I'm going to try this exercise that I saw on YouTube. Okay, well, that exercise didn't really work, so I'm going to try this next one. And it kind of becomes like a game of whack-a-mole. And sometimes some exercises actually can exacerbate the issues.
Mm.
So working with one of our mobility specialists or massage therapists, where you're able to really figure out what the biggest limiting factor is and where to focus all of your attention, and also figure out what things might be aggravating some of the issues that might be present within your body.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Like if it might be like if the pain you might be feeling might be a manifestation of an issue elsewhere in your body, but it's just showing somewhere else. That makes total sense. Working with someone like you can really help to pinpoint that and get to the root of it.
Yeah, because a lot of times where you think it is, it's not.
Mm.
You may have a low back issue that's actually stemming from your hip. Or we find a lot of plantar fasciitis issues is actually stemming up from somewhere higher up the chain in the hamstring or in the glute. So a lot of times people will come in with plantar fasciitis issues and they've been rolling their feet out and working on their calf, and it's actually coming from something higher up the chain. And through our assessment process, we identify that, and then we're able to actually give the correct exercise to then fix the issue.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And from your bio, it sounds like your athletic experience and your accomplishments kind of pushed you in this path that you've taken. Is that true?
Yeah, so I was one of the most injured athletes that I have yet to meet. Um, I had almost every sports injury that you can think of, from low back pain to knee problems, but I still wanted to do what I wanted to do, which was trail running, rock climbing, backpacking. So that's kind of what got me into this field. So I did have a lot of sports injuries growing up as a kid. I was pretty frustrated. The doctors wanted to actually put rods in my spine
Oh my
when I was
gosh.
16 because I had scoliosis. And they thought that the scoliosis was actually causing the low back pain and it was going to progress. Luckily, my parents did not want to go that route. And I was kind of left with alternative care, chiropractic, PT, some massage therapy in there. And it wasn't actually until I got through the massage therapy program that a lot of my injuries started to go away. And so then I started to actually be able to treat myself a little bit. and learn about different sports injuries and how to affect them by treating my own body.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think it's really cool that your own experience led you through this path. And I also feel like that's really a good thing for the clients that you work with because they're working with someone like you who like quote unquote gets it. Like you've been there before. So you're able to empathize with and truly understand any injuries that they may be facing from sports they've been playing or anything athletic, any type of athletic activity really that they do.
Yeah, almost every injury that shows up in my body becomes a learning experience.
Yeah.
And I end up having to do this deep dive on what caused this injury, how to get through it. And so far, it's worked pretty well and does give me a firsthand experience on how to treat a lot of the people who come in our doors here.
Totally. And this is a little bit of a broad question. So, of course, it's best to work with a professional on this, but I'm curious, like, if someone wants to prevent pain or injury when they are doing athletic activities or exercising or anything like that, do you have like general advice about some things that they could do to kind of prevent that from occurring?
Yeah, so definitely don't exceed your current capacity within your own
Mhm.
body, which is a fine line because sometimes you don't know what your current capacity is until you cross the line and then an injury does show up. Usually recommend people really focus on sleep and recovery. Usually is one of the biggest missing components to people when they come in with pain. A lot of research does suggest that your pain sensitivity actually goes up significantly when you're sleep deprived. So it becomes this kind of vicious cycle where someone's in pain and then they can't sleep. And the fact that they're not sleeping then leads you into more pain. And then you get kind of stuck in this cycle.
Mhm.
So focusing on sleep and recovery is probably at the very top of everything of what you can be doing at home. Also, keeping your joints moving through their fullest range of motion. Our joints were designed to move in very large ranges, and our current environment doesn't really allow for us on a daily basis to generally take our joints through their full range of motion. And we do see a lot of injuries really stem from that,
Mhm.
which is what I've kind of called an underuse injury, where one side of the joint gets really strong, the other side of the joint gets really weak, and then you don't have access to that tissue anymore and then you want to go train for a marathon and you don't have any strength in your glutes because you've been sitting for so long, and then the other tissue has to compensate, and then you end up with an overuse injury on that side of the joint.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. And that's actually an interesting point that you bring up too about our joints like really being meant to have a lot of movement and we don't go anywhere near with that. Like would an example of that be like stretching more often? People need to stretch more in order to help move those joints, or what would be some examples of that?
Yeah, so sometimes just stretching alone can actually sometimes irritate the tissue. So figuring out whether the tissue is tight because it's weak or tight because it's actually physically in a shortened position does help figure out which direction you actually have to go. We use these exercises called CARs. They're short for controlled articular rotations, and they're joint specific exercises that take the joint through its fullest range of motion in a very active sense, as opposed to just like a passive hamstring stretch or a passive shoulder stretch. You're actually actively taking the joint through its fullest range of motion and expressing the joint's capabilities. And usually the controlled articular rotations or CARs actually take over a lot of the issues because the muscle moves the joint and the joint has synovial fluid in it. And by going through its fullest range of motion, strengthens all the muscles that are attached to the joint itself while actually actively expressing them. Because we do find that some of the really bendy folks who do a lot of yoga or a lot of passive stretching, sometimes those types of exercises can actually increase your risk of injury because you're just pulling the tissue into a lengthened position in a very passive sense, and you're not really able to express what the joint is supposed to be doing. And then the tissue actually can become weak from passive stretching. So a lot of times we feel tightness in our bodies, and our brain says, okay, if it's tight, I must need to stretch it then, because that's what
Mhm.
we've been kind of taught. And a lot of times, the tightness is actually coming from the tissue being overstretched. Think of like if you grab onto a rubber band and you pull on both ends of the rubber band, that rubber band is going to get really tight.
Mhm.
Now, if you were to continue to pull on that rubber band more and stretch it more, that rubber band's not going to get any looser in the sense of sensation. It's actually going to get tighter. So sometimes what you actually have to do is bring the muscle tissue or the fascicles closer together by shortening the muscle tissue up. And a lot of times that will actually take some of the tension out of the muscle. It's kind of counterintuitive to what we've been taught. We wouldn't think that shortening a muscle and actually physically contracting it and tightening it would actually make the muscle tissue feel looser. But from the sense of biology, when we're looking at things like fascicles within the muscle tissue, sometimes yanking on both ends of that actually is going to make that significantly tighter.
That is really interesting. And so it makes me wonder hearing from that, like what would be some examples of ways that people don't like stretch their muscles so much, bring it a little bit tighter, so to say.
Yeah, so we use these exercises that are called passive range holds,
Hmm.
passive range liftoffs. Um, Another exercise that we use is called PAILs and RAILs, which stands for progressive angular isometric loading or regressive angular isometric loading, where you actually put the tissue or the joint into its end position, and then you contract the stretched tissue, which actually brings the stretched tissue into a slightly shorter position. As you're contracting the muscle tissue fibers actually contract towards each other, and then the rails contraction, which is a regressive angular isometric loading. The tissue is already in a short position, and you contract the tissue in that position, which pulls that shortened tissue even shorter. And research has shown that those exercises work incredibly well to help increase strength in your end range positions because a lot of injuries happen at your end range. So by getting stronger at those end ranges where injury actually lives, in theory, helps prevent injuries when you end up in those end range positions.
Yeah, yeah. That's so interesting. I mean, just hearing everything that you're talking about, it's very clear that you're one, not only incredibly knowledgeable about what you do, but also passionate. I mean, you've been doing this for, it sounds like maybe almost 15 years. Is that right?
We're getting
Um,
pretty close to 15 years. Yeah, wow. Yeah.
oh my gosh. And it makes me wonder too, having started almost 15 years ago, like how have things changed throughout your career? I mean, of course, you had starting Optimal Wellness Center and moving from Boulder to Massachusetts. Like, how, besides those few things, how have things kind of progressed throughout time for you?
Yeah, so when I first started doing massage therapy, I knew where I wanted to go. Like I knew I wanted to work with athletes and I wanted to provide more than just relaxation, but I really didn't have the tools fresh out of massage therapy school.
Mhm.
They kind of just teach you the basics of how to give a good massage, and then they just kind of throw you into the career and let you figure it out for yourself. Um, and so from there, I really just started to work with as many professionals as possible, and which really changed my view of what massage therapy could be. A lot of people, as we said before, kind of just see it as just a relaxation, kind of treat yourself kind of thing. And it really opened my eyes up to the opportunity for this to be a necessity when it
Mhm.
comes to keeping your body healthy.
Mhm.
Our treatments changed a lot throughout that time, going from just giving a massage and getting the person off the table and having a great day to actually trying to build long-term treatment plans with people, getting them goals to actually hit, and actually becoming an integral part of someone's healthcare routine.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm assuming just from your timeline and what you've done that it sounds like maybe you worked for another practice before starting Optimal. Is that right?
Yeah, so I worked for a box chain Elements for about 6 months. I'm sure you've heard of the Elements of massage envy realm. I only lasted about 6 months there because it was a very aggressive style of work. It was just like 50-minute massages, one after
Oh
another. And
gosh.
you don't
Yeah.
really have an opportunity to connect with your client and progress them. So it really kind of felt like a very empty sector of the massage therapy industry. Uh, when we moved to Boulder, Colorado, I worked for a CrossFit gym, a very high level CrossFit gym that had a lot of professional competing athletes there. And that's where I really found a lot of the techniques that I do today is working with these high level athletes and trying to meet their demands, which
Mhm.
was I don't want to be injured. I need to be able to go out there and perform, and I need to hit these goals. And I don't want you to tell me to stop doing my sport because
Yeah.
that's what happens a lot of time. You go to a doctor or a PT, and they're just like, well, I have a great option for you. You'll be in less pain if you just stop doing your activity.
Mhm.
And athletes do not like to hear that. They want to hear, how am I going to be able to continue to do my sport while still relatively being pain free?
Yeah. Yeah. And so being able to take that experience from the CrossFit gym, like you said, really set you up for being able to start Optimal. And I know we chatted about how challenging it was to move Optimal from Boulder to Massachusetts, but how was it just starting the business in general? I mean, did you find that you faced hurdles going from working for the CrossFit gym to doing your own thing?
Yeah, I definitely, when I first started Optimal, I thought, all right, I can do this better than what the CrossFit gym is doing. Arrogantly, I was like, all right, let's start this business, and I'm going to be able to do this much, much better. And very quickly, I learned how much effort it does take to develop a brand, get the brand to be what they you're actually trying to market to, and I really found that there was a lot more uh, time involved than I had expected
Mm,
between back end things of trying to schedule appointments and develop the brand, do the marketing, also have time to see clients and build them a training program to get them to where they want to be. And there was definitely a lot more work than I had initially expected.
mhm. Yeah, I can imagine. And it makes me wonder too. I mean, one of the phrases that I feel like I say all the time is the shoe cobbler's son has no shoes. And so for me, I do marketing, so it's like my own marketing always gets neglected. And so it makes me wonder, are you guilty of that too with your own physical therapy and massage therapy?
Absolutely. I usually try to get at least a massage once a month, but that
Mhm.
does not always happen. And I can definitely feel when I'm not getting it. I
Yeah.
do try to stay relatively active with my exercises and try to practice what I preach to my clients. But as you know, sometimes your own self goes to the wayside for everyone else.
Yes, exactly. And with so many things, exciting things that you have going on within your practice, how do you balance your time? I mean, with being able to balance all the physical activities that you do and the work that you have.
Yeah, so we finally, after about 5 years, had enough budget to be able to hire a front desk help. And our front desk help, Kelsey, really does do a lot of the back end stuff that I don't have time for now. Answers all the emails, answers all the phone calls, and really just allows me to kind of dump all these ideas that I have just boiling in my brain at all times. And it helps me kind of achieve the goals that I'm looking for. So that's been a very, very big help. And, always trying to make time to do the things that fill my cup, going to see live music and trail running, fly fishing, and trying to just keep my cup full so that way I can help other people.
I love it. And for anyone listening to this episode who is thinking about entering the massage therapy industry as a career, what advice would you have for them for getting started?
Yeah, so my advice would definitely be to find a mentor who is doing what you want to do first.
Mhm.
Um, Talk to them about what they're doing, how they got to where they are today. I would also advise picking a niche because the massage therapy industry is such a wide variety of treatment options and uses. So figuring out what your own niche or what your own flavor is will definitely help direct you in the right direction as a therapist.
Mhm.
And finding as much continuing education as possible because most massage schools just really teach you the very, very fundamental basics. And it's not enough to keep you going as a massage therapist. And it's kind of why we see most massage therapists end their career around the 5 to 7 year mark.
Oh, interesting.
There's a very high burnout rate in the massage therapy industry. And I think it has a lot to do with not finding your niche and finding what you're personally passionate about to
Mhm.
help keep yourself, entertained and passionate about the things that you're trying to provide.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. 5 to 7 years, that's such a short span. But now that you've explained it, I mean, it makes sense why people would face that burnout and change careers or do something different.
Yeah, there is a lot of challenges within the massage therapy industry. It is highly volatile. Sometimes you have a lot of clients coming in, and then a lot of other times you'll have lulls, and you have a hard time preparing for those lulls when you're really busy.
Mhm.
You're running the business or you're just working nonstop, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you have this big dip, and a lot of people kind of panic during those times and say, okay, well, maybe this isn't for me anymore. So they end up looking for either a new job or switching practices. So there is definitely, yeah, pretty high burnout rate because of that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And now, as a fun question, with you being based out in Western Mass, I love to ask our guests what their favorite local businesses are to support. So I'm curious to hear what yours are.
Yeah, so one of my favorite businesses in the area is the Berkshire Rivers Fly Fishing Guiding Company here.
Oh, cool.
They're based out of Great Barrington. They provide some amazing fly fishing opportunities. Some of the best guides that I've ever gone out on the water with are based here in Great Barrington. There's also another new portable sauna cold plunge business called the Hut, HUT. And it is an incredible opportunity for people to experience a portable wood fired sauna and cold plunge. It's kind of popping up at local businesses around the Berkshire area. And one other business is this new pizza place that's opening up in Egremont. It's called the Hilltown Hot Pies. And they've actually been renovating this old 1700s building in Egremont and are going to be serving some incredible pizzas and has a beautiful outdoor space. And I think they're opening sometime this summer.
Oh, nice. Just in time for
Yeah,
good weather.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Jake, this has been a really great episode, and I've really enjoyed chatting with you and everything that you've done with Optimal Wellness. And now I'd love to have you share with our listeners where they can find you online in case they'd like to reach out.
Yeah, so you can find us at optimalwellnessma.com. And our Instagram handle is optimal_wellness_MA.
Perfect. And I will link to
Yeah.
both of those places in the show notes that way our listeners can easily click through and connect with you from there. But thank you so much again for coming on today's show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ashley.